welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to give you guys an update on our second rental property process, purchase, how's everything going, how the market really is right now versus, articles or different videos that you may see or come across, but just to give our perspective as someone who's actually in the thick of it right now. So the housing market right now is insane. It is definitely a seller's market out there. The best thing that I can say to anybody is to know the market, get a great agent, and just come prepared. So let's talk about knowing the market. Do your research. Research is so important. There are so many free resources online, on YouTube, that you can read, educate yourself on this type of market. You also want to find a good agent that knows this market, because the market, a year ago, 2 years ago, does not matter in this particular market where you have buyers overpaying for homes and homes being, put on with cash offers and homes getting under contract in days, sometimes even in hours. So it's really good to understand the type of market that we're in. And like I mentioned, the agent. So you want an agent who knows this is a seller's market and how to navigate you as the buyer through this type of market. The first thing you need to have is an agent who's quick, somebody who can respond to text. Emails are great, but in this type of market, texting is like the best thing you can do. Also, you are going to become an unofficial realtor. You are going to be the ones who are going to have accounts on Zillow and Realtor.com and Redfin and all the different apps that you can think of, and you are going to be the one that has your ear to the ground, so that if you see something faster than your realtor may see it, you can go ahead and schedule it and get in the same day. Also, be flexible. There were times when my husband had to take meetings or calls in the car because we had to leave at 10 a.m. or 12:30 p.m. to go see a home. So be flexible with going to see homes. Remember, you have to be fast, and so sometimes you may be able to let your boss know. Sometimes you have the ability, if you're working from home, to pause from your work, or like my husband, take a call in the car or anything like that. But you want to make sure that you respond very quickly. Time is of the essence in this market. The next thing, which in terms of your realtor, is you want to make sure that your realtor can communicate with the seller's agent as quickly and as efficient as possible. So if you want to submit an offer, that your agent has updated software, you would be surprised at the amount of agents that are still writing things in. No. In this type of market, most realtors, the good ones anyway, should have some type of program that they can just quickly input the information in and get that information over to the seller's agent. The next thing is, in terms of a buyer, you want to make sure that the first 10-15 minutes that you step foot inside a home, you know whether you want to put an offer in or not. You do not have the time or the space in this particular market to view a home a second time. When you go into that home, you need to know in the first 10 to 15 minutes if you want to put an offer in. And if you do, you need to communicate that with your realtor before you leave the property, so that they can call their staff at the home office and get that paperwork started for you. Also, have your pre-approval in hand. You don't want to kind of do this backwards, find a house and then find a lender. No, you want to make sure you have your pre-approval in hand. Remember, this is a seller's market. They're going to want to see the strongest offer at the end of the day. And if you have to go back and get a pre-approval, it just wastes time and it puts you at the bottom of the list. The next thing you want to do is look at the pictures, but I'm telling you, do not just go off the pictures alone. I know some people like to put offers in sight unseen. I even thought about doing the same thing, but I'm so glad my husband was so adamant on going to see a house, because some of these pictures, a lot of these pictures lie. They look so beautiful and so nice and clean on your computer, on your phone or tablet, but when you go and see a house in person, oh my goodness, sometimes it's like night and day. And you want to make sure that you try to get to the house. Now, sometimes when you go to see a house, there is people there waiting with their agents for their appointment times, which is another thing. Get to your appointments a little early if you can. So if you have an appointment to view a home at 12 p.m., try to get there 11:30. Oftentimes we found is that people do the same thing, and so the house is just open for, an extra 15 minutes early, and we're able to get in and spend a whole 30 minutes inside the house. There are appointments now where you get 15 minutes in the house because there's so much interest in the house. And that's why I say you should know within the first 10 minutes or so of walking into a home whether you want to put an offer in or not. Now let's talk about offers in our case. So I'll tell you one tip here. Numbers matter, and you have to remember this is an emotional process, but it's also a business transaction. And so we bought the house that we're buying now was on the market for $169,900. My husband said, let's just go ahead and put an offer in for $170,000. I was thinking, well, we'll just put the full offer in. But he said, you have to understand, honey, that that numbers matter. And $170,000 on paper looks better. It looks stronger. It looks a whole lot more than $169,900, though it's only $100 difference. And we went along and we did that, and it worked. And they got back to us the next day, and we're under contract. Also, another thing, we overpaid, but by $100 on the house. The next thing that helped us in terms of getting our offer accepted, the speed. We saw the house the day it came on the market, or was it the next morning? No, it was the day it came on the market, and we had an offer in that night. So again, goes back to what I was talking about with the realtor, making sure that the realtor knows the type of market, so that if we say the day we see the house, we're going to put an offer in, our realtor was already on the phone at his office saying, get the paperwork together, this is how much they put it down, so that they can sign this stuff through DocuSign, and we can get this submitted to the seller's agent. The next thing that helped us is rent back. So you'll probably hear that term a lot in this market, is rent back. So what that is that oftentimes the sellers, because of how fast the houses move, they need time to find a new home or a new situation. And the sellers in this particular home are buying another home, and they need a little bit more time so they can close on that home. And so we say, you know what, that's fine, because we were going to rent this property out anyway. And so they offered to pay us rent. And so we charged them $50 a day as long as they're in the home. And they said they shouldn't need no more than 2 months to close and move out. And so we'll get $1,500 a month for 2 months until they move out, which is great because we're getting money on the front end, because like I said, we bought this home as an investment property. The next thing that helped us as well was being flexible. Flexible is key in terms of closing, because like I mentioned, sellers are also buyers in this market. They are trying to find a new place, a new situation, and a buyer that can present an offer saying, I'm flexible. If you want to close fast, if you want to take a little bit of time to close, if you want to do a rent back, I'm available for that. Now, there are some people in certain markets where they are giving free rent backs, or they are offering to pay the seller's closing costs, which is like really, really insane. They're offering to do so many things because they want to get into the house. But the best things that I can tell you, if you are looking to purchase a home, is to be quick to present your offer. You have to be really strategic when you present your offer. Try putting an escalation clause in. Now, we didn't do that because putting $100 over what they asked worked, because $170 looked better to them. You can try that avenue, or just put an escalation clause into your contract saying, I'm willing to pay $500 over the highest bid up to $5,000. And you have to do the math, make sure you run it in your budget to make sure you can afford this, because you don't want to get into a home and you can't afford it. You're going through all this. You want to make sure that if you are doing escalation clauses, or if you're overbidding, that you are really running this stuff past your budget so that you can comfortably afford these homes. Let's talk about the types of loans. So the people that we've been coming in contact with, going to see homes and different things like that, the sellers have been making it very known that they do not want to do FHA offers, which I thought was really interesting. But they were verbal about it. They were saying, it takes too long. Now, whether this is illegal or not, it's just what our agent told us in terms of when our offers weren't accepted. Now, we don't have a FHA loan. We were buying with a conventional loan with 20% down, and we were flexible with the closing because, again, we were not moving into this property. But a lot of buyers the sellers rather, they are really specific in the types of offers that they will accept. So they said, our agent said, FHA presents a problem because you have to use one of their accredited inspectors, and they get really nitpicky, and sellers don't want to have to replace anything because in this market, a lot of people are waiving the inspection contingencies. A lot of them are waiving appraisal contingencies, so they don't need to, I guess, in their mind, subject themselves to all the extra loopholes with an FHA. Now, if you do have an FHA, we have seen people get their offers accepted, and one of the things that help them is putting money down. Now, I know sometimes with down payment assistance program, you don't have to put anything down, but in the seller's eyes, that presents a risk to them because you don't have nothing in this game. You need to put some money down if you can. $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, and that also goes with your earning deposit, guys. So our agent suggested to us to put a $5,000 earnest deposit down, and with this house that we bought that we live in, we didn't even put that much down. We put $1,000. So your earnest deposit does go towards your closing costs, so you're not paying extra, but you're paying more upfront to show the seller I'm really serious. I have all of my financial ducks in a row, and I'm willing to give a check today. That's another thing. Make sure your earnest deposit is in your checking account, because as soon as your offer is submitted, they'll tell you you have like 2 to 3 days to get your earnest deposit. But if it's already sitting in your checking account, you can just write a check and take it over to the seller's agent and be finished. Now, before I move on any further, this is not financial advice. I'm not a realtor or agent or anything. I'm just trying to give you guys some tips and tricks and share our story of what helped us. So yeah, you want to make sure that your earnest deposit is sitting in your checking account. Now, for example, we have Capital One, but our checking account, our main checking account, is not with Capital One, it's with a credit union. So we had to make sure we transfer our earnest deposit into our checking account. Now with Capital One, it can take 3 business days. We don't want to waste any time. So we had that $5,000 sitting in our main checking account. So as soon as we went under contract, the next day that check was written and taken to the seller's agent. Again, guys, you want to just be able to strengthen your offers. You can put more down. You can offer a higher earnest deposit. You can waive contingencies. I would suggest you not do that. If you feel like you have to still get an inspection, it is worth every penny of getting an inspection. You can get a regular home inspection, a radon inspection, termite inspection. They have sewer inspections, all kinds of inspections. But at least get the normal home inspection and the termite inspection. Those are like the really, really important things. Now, your inspections will cost you a couple $100 depending on where you live. Our inspection and termite inspection cost $385 total, which was really, really nice. So we had the inspection done. We're moving forward with the deal, and so on and so forth. Also, after you get your inspection done, your bank is going to want for you to pay for your appraisal. So you'll get a closing cost estimate sheet once your offer is accepted. And one of the things that the bank will make you pay for upfront is your appraisal. They want to make sure that the house that you are putting this offer on is appraised for the value. Now, this is key, especially if you are overbidding or thinking of overbidding on a house. If the appraisal comes in under, you have to cover that difference. And if you don't have the funds to cover that difference, there's a whole lot of other buyers in line waiting. So again, I know it's very emotional, but you just want to make sure that you understand if the appraisal come back less, you have to cover that difference, because 9 times out of 10 in this type of market, the seller is not going to come down on the price. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm just seeing so many people out here, especially first-time home buyers, who are offering $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 over asking price, and they have to be released from the contract and sometimes lose their earnest deposit because they can't really afford it. They thought they could, but they can't. The next thing here that I wanted to talk about was, and this is a tip, and I've seen this happen several times already, and this is something that I told our mortgage guy, because he asked us, how are you guys able to get your offer accepted so fast and really not overpaying? We overpaid by $100. What did you do? And so one of the tips that I have for you guys is to, any house that you see, like them, heart them, check them, whatever it is, and whatever app you're using, favorite them. Make sure that there's somewhere where you can see them. Even if they're under contract, pending, contingent, it doesn't matter. What we have been noticing a lot lately is that homes have been coming back on the market because buyers got cold feet. because the financing fell through. And at that point, the ball is in your court, because now those sellers are more vulnerable now. They want to get this process done and away with, because they figure they lost time now. And so if you see a house come back on the market because you are ready, you got your earnest deposit and your down payment sitting in your checking account, you got your pre-approval, everything is good, you can go ahead and put an offer in on that house. So don't lose hope if you see your